Yes, I want to update the board and the community, our monthly update on our implementation status of the Princeton plan. We're getting closer. As much as we would like to celebrate the end of the year, we're getting closer to a new year next year in September. So we have been updating you regularly on a number of issues, and these are the ones. So we started with making sure that we had staff assigned to their new schools and room assignments, so everyone knew where they were going to be. Principals laid out where grade levels would be located and who would be next to whom or across from whom or so on and so forth. We provided boxes for staff to start packing. We basically said pack as you go and as you feel comfortable, that if you're done with the unit of study that you're not going to be touching the rest of the year, feel free to make some decisions about what goes, what stays, what goes meaning what we may not need anymore. The head custodians with the principals and Anthony Merlaney have staging areas throughout the school, and mid-year this year the pods arrived, so they've been slowly moving the materials into the pods. All of the schools have identified various year-end celebrations. Those are ongoing. If you have a child in any one of our elementary schools, you know there's something new each day. BV celebrated its 50-year anniversary. They're going to do a capsule dig on Thursday. Today was 5th grade celebrations across all 3 schools. We've had student tours, so the students who will be going to a new school next year have been on that campus and toured the building, met with their prospective principal. Late winter, early spring, it was around March that the busing schedule was released. Parents had 5 opportunities to attend meetings with their new principals. A couple were virtual, the others were in person. And then some year-end activities that really culminated today. So we want to tell you what's next. We'll start with today. We had field day across all of the elementary schools, where next year's first graders were at Frank G, led by their phys ed teacher of next year, Joe Bruno, and his staff had a number of activities for students. We had many people there documenting it, so check out our website, Facebook, or Twitter to see what those students were up to. Next year's 2nd and 3rd graders were at BV for field day today, and next year's 4th and 5th graders were at Furnace Woods. So students had an opportunity again to reconnect with one another. We had students remembering who their pen pals were and who they met with earlier in the spring. So that was a great event. We had perfect weather for it. In terms of getting ready for opening school in September, we're asking staff to make sure that they are packed on the 24th of June by 11 p.m. That's when schools close. We shut down schools at 11 p.m. each night, and so schools will be open every day until 11 for staff to finish their packing. The 24th is the last day of school for our staff. Students do not have school that day, so staff, elementary staff will have the day in addition to other half days preceding the 24th to get ready. On the 27th, we're going to move. We want to make sure that everything is rolling on that Monday, the 27th, so that all materials and supplies are in the new school, ready to be set up after the schools are cleaned. You see a gap there, about a 1-month gap between June 26th and July 25th. That's when Anthony Merlaney and his guys are going to go through and clean out the classrooms. Make sure that they do a thorough deep cleaning. That includes shampooing and carpeting whatever rugs exist and doing some cleaning the floors, so on and so forth. The goal is to start opening classrooms on July 25th. The week of July 25th, that's the last week of July. What will happen is that as soon as classrooms are ready, they will be released to the teachers. In the past, when obviously we didn't have such an enormous move, we would wait to turn the school over to the principals until later in August. It just allowed less foot traffic in the building so that the entire building could be done and ready before we open the doors for everyone coming in. What we want to absolutely make sure this year is that folks have plenty of time to come in starting as early as the 25th of July to set up. So if 5 rooms are done in all 3, whichever elementary school, Anthony and the custodians will sign off on that. The principals will contact the teachers and say you're more than welcome to come in, make an appointment, come on in, grab your keys, so on and so forth. And those teachers, the principal and custodian, will work to make sure the materials are in the classroom. On August 19th, even though bus runs were previously set out, we're hoping to finalize them. And the reason we're finalizing bus runs is because we have a lot of movement during the year. We have families that have before or after school childcare needs. We have families that have daycare needs. We have families that move in and move out of the district. So I would say while 98% of the bus runs are firm from what we communicated earlier, there is a lot of movement that takes place over the summer. So we will post those bus runs by the 19th. By the 26th of August, all of the classrooms will be released. So staff will have at least, if they're not open before August 26th, they'll at least have that last week of August to get ready. Our staff development conference days on August 31st and September 1st. Those are 2 days that we use for staff development and training. Elementary teachers will also have an opportunity to continue to pack up. So if they weren't able to get in over the summer, that is officially when the school year starts. And then we will welcome parents and students in on September 1st to visit the schools, meet their teachers, visit the classrooms, and be able to have an understanding of what their new school year will look like. The next slide is an internal planning document. It's a management tool we created to make sure all of the things I just said happened. So this is a snapshot picture of operations and maintenance. This is just some of the number of activities that Anthony Merlini and his staff are managing to make sure all of their deadlines are met. This isn't even the full spreadsheet. The spreadsheet goes about another 40% to the right. That shows some graphic design so you can see progress graphically rather than just by a due date. But this is an example of all of the other things that go into making sure schools are ready, that teachers are ready, so on and so forth. And it's not just, well, this falls under operations and maintenance. Obviously, different groups or stakeholders in the district need to participate and play a role in this, namely the principals. Those were some activities that were earlier in the year or ongoing. You see names like Fran Dodaro, who works with Margaret on HR, Vanita Joy, our technology director. So our team cannot, as you can see, cannot work in silos. This isn't just about technology readiness or making sure rooms are clean. There's a lot of overlap and a lot of communication. And we started building out this process using this management tool last May when the decision was to move forward with the Princeton plan. So each department has their own. Vanita, in terms of technology, has her own management plan. Margaret has her own with the 3 elementary principals. Liz Gillio with transportation. So this is sort of a peek behind the curtain as to how we're holding ourselves accountable to make sure that we can get done what we need to get done on those due dates that we'll communicate with families on Friday, so they have an idea of what to expect and when to expect. Now there are some TBDs that are still being worked on. Class lists have gone out to teachers for comment. We want to make sure that we have balance in a number of areas, that we have balance of children coming from 3 different classrooms, that there's representation in next year's classroom, that it's not next year's 5th grade Furnace Woods classroom is just last year's Furnace Woods students. To make sure that there's balance in terms of equity, whether it's student makeup or students with IEPs or what have you. And so there's a lot of communication and dialogue happening between current year teachers and next year's teachers in terms of chemistry that worked well or chemistry perhaps they didn't. We do have parents that are asking for their children to be placed with a friend so that they have someone, a familiar face. By practice, we try not to take those requests, because for every request you take, there's someone who didn't have one or someone who's on the outside looking in. But the teachers are weighing in to that degree to say, these children do well together. They probably should, move together into their new school next year. Principals will identify additional opportunities to engage with their parents over the summer. Those could be virtual or in person. They very likely, if they're going to take place in July or early August, probably would be virtual for two reasons. One, schools can look like a war zone when Anthony and his team has them ripped apart. And second, they're very hot in the summer. So we might be able to create more access for families to discuss other questions or concerns they may have with the principal virtually. And then lastly, one of the initiatives of the elementary PTA leaders who we've been meeting with is to identify play dates and meetups for parents to meet each other, for kids to meet each other, and to provide some social interaction over the summer in advance of opening the school year. So what we will do is we will post this information to our dedicated website, and throughout the summer we'll provide weekly updates to make sure that we're on target to meet these deadlines, so that everyone understands what to expect and when to expect it, so there are no surprises. And that's it.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just got one question. So Joe, thanks for this. I think this is great. I think we're all looking forward to continued updates at each of the board meetings, so the people who are watching in, they can expect to see these at every meeting going forward until we implement. One of the questions that I wanted to ask was about the overall budget for this move. Like, what are the cost implications, and what is the budget, so that people outside the board get an understanding of what the cost implications are?
So I'll need to bring that to our June 29th meeting, but there are a couple of different cost centers. One is around staff moving. Because of this, we have limited staff development or new initiatives that we're kicking off at the elementary level. So we've identified resources that will be used for teachers that may need basically overtime or to come in over the summer to set up. So I'll be able to get that number to you. Anthony has a budget with some outside contractors, whether that was purchasing boxes or extra folks to move or to help move, so we can bring that on the 29th, but I don't have that with me.
I assume the pods too, right?
And the pods. Yep. Absolutely. Yep, we can cost that out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mine was kind of a financial question as well. We do this deep cleaning every summer in all of our schools. So have we hired additional staff, like temporary staff workers? Are we planning on overtime to get not only the regular cleaning that we always do, but also the logistics from building to building? How are we managing that?
Yeah, we know that we are hiring extra student helpers this year to work with the custodians. And that those student helpers will be really important, because the extra work is really going to be transporting boxes from whatever the holding center will be in that school to those classrooms. So there may be overtime. That's going to be a spot check that Anthony and his team will do based on what might be uncovered in a deep clean. If we need to replace a carpet quickly or replace some tile, that's normal. That's not unexpected. But it's very similar to a construction project, and why you budget a contingency, because if you rip out a wall and find asbestos, then you've got a different problem. But we can bring that back on the 29th too, in terms of how we budget for that, and how we budget our staff, really, not financially budget, but allocate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Joe, for that update.